Plot, Beastly, 2011. Written by Anonymous. Kyle, Alex Pettifer, thinks he is God's gift at his high school. He plays a prank on a fellow student, Kendra, Mary-Kate Olsen, who, unbeknown to him, is a witch. Kendra teaches him a lesson by putting a curse on him to make him as beastly on the outside as he is on the inside. He has 1 year to find someone to fall in love with him or stay like that forever. Voiceover off.
When you're blind and watching movies, what will you find? A blind superhero whose superpowers are acting like he's not blind. A sighted actor over dramatically touching people's faces. Or maybe the whole joke is that they're bumping into different places. A spectacular, macular generation. Tunnel vision to your television. And do they offer this movie with audio descriptions? They're movie buffs who know their stuff. You'll be thoroughly entertained. Join Sky and Melissa throughout film history and Citizen White Cane.
Hello and welcome.
Hi there, everybody.
Welcome to Citizen White Cane, the podcast where blindness is in the eye of the beholder. I'm Sky McLeod,
I'm Melissa Bukta.
and we are talking about the 2010 film Beastly today.
Correct. I picked this movie. This was my fault. And I did send you in text, you got to let me stop picking movies. Because I'm going to pick crap like this.
I mean, it is a good, we got to do every movie at some point, so I'll bring the very, serious, very accurate to blindness.
And I'll bring the shit.
Which, I mean, it's perfect. I feel like we complement each other in many different ways, and one of them is just in our movie picks, and that's really, those are the two kinds of polls that we need, is just bullshit and
serious stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I remember seeing previews on TV and I think in the theaters for when this came out, and I remember not giving a shit then as well.
Yeah, it is. I guess, okay, so at one point I did have a blind person that I knew who talked about how, I think, and I don't fully remember, but I think they were saying that this movie is not very good generally, but that they had liked the Neil Patrick Harris stuff as being a blind person. I don't know if I would say that exactly. I mean we'll talk about.
Yeah, I
it,
mean, okay. I'm gonna be upfront with you. I'm super biased, and anything and everything that he said in this movie, I laughed at because the man could read the phone book, and I would listen and laugh.
That's true. I mean, it's also funny because I feel I don't know if this is still true of MPH, but I feel like in 2010 his whole bit was being a womanizer, and it was very weird. That he was he was the archetype of a womanizer.
Yeah,
and it was
because
why did that happen?
Okay, because he was on the TV
How I
show
Met
called
Your
How I Met Your
Mother,
Mother,
yeah.
and that's the character he played was Barney.
Right,
And
but then he because of that character became a womanizer, was his brand. And then but then he was also gay, and it was just a very convoluted brand, but it was he was the face of womanizers and also a gay celebrity at a time where there were very few of them, and it made no sense at all.
I think maybe I'd like to say that maybe reading his biography would shed some light on the situation.
Just why he was playing womanizers at that time?
Maybe, but his biography is really funny, actually.
Have you read it?
Yes, it's really funny
okay.
and cute. And the audiobook version is really interesting to listen to because it reads the whole thing linearly like an audiobook should. But the print
choose your own adventure.
Yes, the print version is a choose your own adventure biography about Neil Patrick Harris.
How does that? Okay, but it's a biography,
right?
So
I mean, everything is true for the most part. It's been a couple of years since I read it, but I was so excited when it came out. I mean, I still obviously adore NPH and I love him, and he was the only reason why I was excited to watch this movie. But man, I went through a moment, man. I was obsessed with Neil Patrick Harris. Still,
I think we all were at some point, maybe. At some era of his career. I feel like he's had a lot of eras of his career.
I love him because he's just so freaking nerdy. I mean, and for me, it all started with Dr. Horrible. Dr.
Right.
Horrible sing-along blog, and then he was just everywhere. And he voices Nightwing in one or a couple, I think, of the animated Batman movies.
Oh,
And he's great.
Didn't Dr. Horrible post-date How I Met Your Mother starting?
I think so. Because
During the writer's
because it was
strike
during the
was
writer's strike.
Dr.
Yeah,
Horrible,
and then
yeah.
How I Met Your Mother started. I want to say 2010 is when I don't know.
Was when How I Met Your Mother started, or
Yeah, but maybe I feel like it was earlier
definitely
than that.
earlier.
Yeah.
I feel like I thought that How I Met Your Mother was before the writer's strike, but then I don't know if, like, I thought it just went on hiatus or something. I don't
Yeah, I
remember.
mean, a lot of shows either tried to go on and tanked or went on hiatus. I mean, the
right, because
the
I think
writers.
it had to have been one of the ones that went on hiatus because it ended far after the writer's
Oh
strike.
yes. I mean, and yeah, that's a whole thing. Like the
Yeah.
writer's strike is crazy.
Well, now you think about it, it's kind of like this is like the second coming of the writer's strike in a way, and then like, well, they all fired their agents, but that no one cares about anymore. But now there's like this weird thing of like everyone has to shoot everything from home, so it's like kind of has a similar feeling of like the writer's strike of like everyone's like, what the fuck is this?
but I feel like the writers are the only ones who are still working in the industry because you don't need to
Right.
be in a room full of people to write. You can have
Well,
a writer's room over Zoom.
Right. I mean, technically, you could do anything apparently over Zoom, maybe other than like, well, cinematography. I guess everyone kind of has to be their own cinematographer now. But like, you know, it is, or camera people. It's just computers. God, computers are taking our jobs. Wow. Cameramen now.
Oh my god.
Anyway, yeah, so that's
So yeah.
some NPH, but I
Yes.
do want to circle back. Does in his Choose Your Own biography, does it explain why he was a womanizer archetype for a
I
moment?
don't remember there being a lot of explanation about that, but
Okay.
this has been many years since I've listened to the book. So
Okay.
I do need to go back and read it again. I mean, or listen to it again because obviously he narrates the whole thing. So it's great.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I think it was probably just Barney as a character really captured
Yeah.
the imagination of everyone for some reason. But yeah, it was because this also comes out in 2010, so I feel like that was the height of How I Met Your Mother, kind of.
Yeah,
right?
2011 actually.
Oh, does the movie come
yeah,
out in
2011?
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, so it is kind of I think his part is definitely kind of going off of How I Met Your Mother as a
I guess, but I definitely like he was cheeky in this movie. His character is very cheeky and sarcastic and sassy, but I didn't feel like he was a womanizer in this part.
well, because and did we say that he plays the blind character yet?
Oh yeah. So in this film, Neil Patrick Harris plays Will, the main character's blind roommate and teacher.
Yeah. Which I guess to go back or to kind of like give some framing of the plot of the movie, like
It's Beauty and the Beast.
yeah, it's basically Beauty and the Beast
it's
in a private high school, I
Yeah,
guess, of some
basically.
kind, where like a lot of rich people go.
A very, very uppity school.
In New York.
In New York, yeah. It's a modern retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and oh, so subtle. No, it's not subtle at all. This movie is riding the trend of
like
let's
She's the
retell.
Man, or like
Not really. It's more like let's retell all of the fairy tales. I mean, we got this, and then we got like Jack the Giant Killer and Hansel and Gretel, witch hunters, and
right. That's
a
kind
bunch of other ones.
I guess I was gonna say Clueless and She's the Man, but I guess that was kind of like a little bit more of the
That
like
was way
hoity-toity.
before this movie.
And they're
Yeah.
also like Shakespeare, so I guess
yeah.
that's
Well,
like,
yeah. I mean, Clueless is Emma, and She's the Man is Twelfth Night, but
oh, is it Emma?
yeah, it's Emma. It's Jane Austen.
Oh, so it's still hoity-toity though.
I mean, I guess
I don't know my anything. Thank you
Horrible-
for giving context.
Well, horrible movie confession. I've seen neither of those movies. Actually,
Wait. I've seen
not
Clueless.
seen. No, I have not seen Clueless, and I haven't seen She's the Man either.
Clueless is an important movie. I mean, it's kind of like the Mean Girls of like people who are about 4 years older than Mean Girls people.
I mean, I should watch Clueless, but I think back then when it was popular and when it was coming out, I just didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't want to watch a movie about a bunch of preppy high schoolers. I just didn't. That just did
so
not
how do you
interest
feel about
me.
this movie? And then we're talking about.
There were multiple times where I just groaned because I'm like, it's this movie.
It is so badly written. It is very shocking how
Everyone states how they feel.
Yeah.
All of the time.
And like the way that the characters are written is that none of them are human beings.
No, they are absolutely archetypes.
Yeah, like and they're not even like full on archetypes. They're more of just like an idea of like
tropes.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of tropes. That's all yeah.
Yeah, because we have the main character, the Beauty and the Beast, the Beast character.
Kyle.
Kyle, who also goes by Hunter when he's the Beast.
Oh my god, Hunter. Call me Hunter. And I'm like, you wouldn't you? Yeah. Played by Alex Pettifer.
And his entire character is looks are everything.
Oh yeah. I mean,
As a character.
I'm not gonna lie. I started this movie and obviously he comes out and he's so like, you can write a mean character, you can write a conceited character, you can write someone who that's their whole platform, like only looks matter. He is just a monster. He doesn't talk like a regular person, and he's an absolute monster. And I'm like, oh my god. Well, that's when you know, like this is the movie, and it's not. There's no subtlety at all. It's you don't have to think about anything because it's all just spoon fed to you, basically. But you know what? He has a very punchable face.
It is true. He does have a very punchable face, and then it gets all messed up. Is most of the movie because instead of becoming a beast, which like he could have like they didn't, but it's not. They made it modern by giving him weird tattoos and then like kind of scar like things.
Right, because in this world, I don't think him fully transforming into an animal human hybrid would make any sense.
But it also didn't make sense that because it's like he's ugly now, but it's not like he's played by a different actor and that's ugly, which I guess then you have to be the actor who got cast to be the ugly one.
No, hang on. What? Was that a different actor?
No. I'm just saying like he didn't.
You scared me. I was like, wait a minute. Did I totally miss something?
No. I'm just like saying like hypotheticals of what it would be like, because I just feel like the way that they made him look, that's not realistic either. Like they're like, this is like modern, real, not as fantastical sort of. But then it's like still has to be fantastical.
Yeah. What I had trouble with is if you are telling a modern story, what do you deem as ugly?
Right,
because
exactly.
I'm like, okay, so they turned him into, so his body is still the same. He is still a white, able-bodied person.
Right.
He's just covered in tattoos and scarification.
Right.
Okay, so that's this movie's interpretation of ugly, but it's like, well, what if they made him a little person? What if, if they had given him, and I think I can answer my own question. I know why they didn't, because you can't give him a disability and then call him ugly, because then you're saying a whole lot about about disabled
Except
people.
for it kind of would be like saying something about maybe someone whose face is like burned or something, like something where people have some sort of disfigurement that like affects their daily life, which I mean I think people who have that would still I mean I don't want to speak for anyone, but would still identify with, because if ugliness is so weird and that it's like something that I think all sighted people, factor into things in some way, but it's so taboo to talk about. And so sometimes I think that can be alienating for people who are like still dealing with an oppression that no one is willing to talk about. It's kind of a weird.
And I mean, what is ugly is the question that I kept thinking of. Like I personally, when he is a regular person before the transformation, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't have anything to do with him because he's an asshole beyond belief. He's a huge dick. But honestly, like even just the way he looks, I personally, as a person, don't find that very attractive. I
just like before he got in
his
face,
when he's just a quote unquote normal.
He's just
person.
like he's just like a rich white dude.
Yeah,
archetype,
and,
basically.
Yeah, and I think he is more interesting, when he is. When he's under the curse. I mean, he has to be more interesting because that's the way the story progresses. I thought he looked fine when he was a cursed person. I was like, if it were me, I wouldn't want all the junk on my face like that. Tattoos are awesome, And if and I want to get a tattoo one of these days, and tattoos are great. And if you want to go so far as like scarification, body modification, like you do you, bro. I'm not going to tell you that you can't do that. I personally wouldn't do that. The scars on my face. I don't want to go there. Like, I really don't want anything on my face.
Right.
But I thought he looked fine. Honestly, his tattoos are really cool.
I mean, he did have that one on his arm that, like, if that went away, that would, I mean, I feel like I'd be mad. Because that was like, because in Beauty and the Beast, at least in the Disney movie, right, they have, like, the flower...
The rose.
The rose. And for this one, it was just on his arm. He had a tattoo.
Right.
And, like, as the time was going by, there is like this tattoo of like a tree in wintertime, and like it's growing roses as his time progresses of like how long he's, because in this one, I don't remember, is this true in Beauty and the Beast too, that someone needs to say I love you to him, and that's the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, granted, I have not read the original story, but obviously we were familiar with the Disney version, and I've seen other like little cheapy animated versions when I was a kid. I'm not sure if they have to say I love you exactly, but they have to love him in return. For him. They have to love him for him, and he has to show them love, and they have to reciprocate it in return.
Right.
But this one specifically, you need to say I love you. Okay, whatever. Also, I didn't like the ending of this movie.
Yeah.
I think, and I know we're jumping, but I think honestly, I think he should have stayed exactly the way he was. And because he already had the girl.
Yeah, okay, so this is another thing that I think the movie struggled with. Because, it definitely, I mean, I think kind of ends like Beauty and the Beast ends, basically. Mm-hmm. Just like mechanically. But, like, the problem, and I don't... Yeah, again, I also haven't seen the animated movie because I'm sure that's probably what a lot of people are using to compare it. I haven't seen it in a while, so I'm also like, oh, did they do it this way? But the thing that I really struggled with was the fact that the beauty character, Belle character, whose name in this is
Lindy,
played
by Vanessa Hudgens.
Yes,
believe it, I couldn't believe it. I looked it up and was like, oh wow, okay.
We're all in this together.
I'm sure you recognized her because I did not.
I mean, I love me some High School Musical though. So, but yeah, so she likes him when he is like before he's the Beast. Like she kind of has a weird like appreciation, fascination for him, and I was just like, why?
Yeah, appreciation, fascination, I think is a better way to describe. I mean, it's the stupid, like, oh, girls like bad boys,
Yeah,
I mean.
But it's not, like, in any way really, I mean, obviously not interrogated, but it also is just like, yeah, we all know that this makes sense in the world. And you're like, no, I mean, like, he is just really mean and had no redeeming qualities. Why would she like him?
Well, and the script and the writing and just this movie is very shallow. I mean, it is a shallow little pool. And I'm not saying the animated version is, fathoms deep, but I think there are more themes and I think there's more things to talk about in the animated version.
Yeah. I mean, I am weird in that I always, even with the animated version, I'm like, this is just about Stockholm Syndrome. I don't I don't get it.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's definitely still part of me that sees it that way. But, and this is a discussion we can have another time. But yeah, I hear.
Well, we can
I
have
hear
it
you.
now
I hear
too,
you.
because it is the Stockholm Syndrome is definitely also part of Beastly.
Yes, and I think this one almost feels more because he gets transformed, and he basically stalks Lindy for a while.
He stalk her a lot.
He goes
very inappropriate.
Yeah, he goes to this party that she's at. He's outside her window.
Because he has a girlfriend at the beginning of the movie, and so I think is it him going with? Is it him stalking her yet, or is he stalking his ex-girlfriend?
No.
Because he sees her at the party.
No,
too.
I thought that he went to the other party. This is not the dance where they're mean to Ashley Olsen. This is This is
She's
that
the
Halloween
witch.
party. Yeah, the witch character.
Right, but I thought because he also sees his ex-girlfriend at the Halloween party, who's now dating his best friend.
Oh yeah, that does happen.
Because
Okay,
when he
yes.
becomes ugly, he just like is locked. His dad, who's a news anchor and who also is not really a character and kind of has the exact same character profile of him, which is beauty, looks are all that matters, and they're very, very one-dimensional. But so the dad is like, you have to go be away because I can't have an ugly son.
Right, yeah. He takes him to a bunch of doctors to get him fixed or, whatever. And he's like, nope. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to sequester you in this really nice apartment, wherever on the other side of the city. And yeah, you cannot be around me and I cannot be around you. Here's my question though. And I guess I'm not going to play by this movie's logic or whatever, but if my son looked the way he looked when he left for school and then came home looking like that, I don't know, I would freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
Not because he's quote unquote ugly,
But like what happened?
Like what happened?
I mean, he sort of
What
does.
party did you go to?
I mean,
Who did you piss off?
I mean, I guess he kind of does. It's just not like. It's just he's very focused on the way he looks.
I guess I thought there'd be a stronger reaction. I don't know. I was exactly.
Yeah, just like I guess like. Do you mean kind of just like in getting to the bottom of why this even happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's like he's very like instantly focused on let's get this fixed.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
as
but
opposed
not
to like how did this
a
even happen?
witch excuse me, you said a witch cursed you, and then again. I'm not playing by the movie's logic, and the more you pick at it, it completely falls apart. But oh my god, and they're in the dark together, and Kyle states like, "Would you still love me even though I look like the way I do, even though I'm your son?" I mean, it's
so
give
ridiculous.
us more exposition. Why don't you? Like, it's Beauty and the Beast, simple story, simple moral. We get it. Every single person who's seen this movie, has seen the Disney version, knows this story. I guess I'm just asking for a little nuance, please.
No, it's extremely unnuanced. It's kind of like if someone wrote an outline of a movie and then didn't actually write the script.
Oh my god, that's fascinating. That's exactly what it is. Okay, so Kyle is in love with Lindy and he gets sequestered to this apartment. He brings with him, or his father makes her, I'm not sure, their maid, Zora.
Right.
Who he is an absolute bitch to for no reason
at
this
all.
poor woman. Oh my god.
She has to leave her family back in Jamaica
Mm-hmm.
because she's making money for them and sending it home, and he's like, fuck you bitch, because he has mom issues, I guess. It's like,
oh yeah, his mommy left him.
Right.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
he's like,
he's gonna
"You
take it
left
out on
your
her.
kids," which I mean, like, I guess, like, sure. I mean, like, it makes as much sense as the rest of the movie does.
Yeah, okay.
It's not emotionally, like, it doesn't feel real, but it's like, yeah, I guess you gave a justification.
Sure, I'll give you that. Like, you could be mad at her because your parents left you or your mom left you. I get that. You don't have to be a little bitch.
Yeah,
you know?
he's like a fuck, and he's also, it's like it's one thing. It's also like he'll sometimes talk about the kids thing, but then also a lot of it's just weird and like it's mostly classist more than anything.
Yes,
like it's not.
absolutely.
Most of it doesn't actually come back to him like being like, "Why did you leave your kids back in Jamaica?" It's mostly like him being classist.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Zora is the only person of color we see in the film, or at least who is a main character. I don't even remember if I saw any people of color in the background, but then again, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Well,
So
Vanessa Hudson seems kind of ethnically ambiguous. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
What her actual identity is.
I'm not sure.
But her character is going to where's she
Machu
go?
Picchu.
Machu Picchu.
She has her heart set on this trip to Machu Picchu. I mean, hey, I would in high school.
I mean, that sounds
hell yeah.
cool, yeah.
Mhm.
Because she's a scholarship student, which we haven't said yet. So
Right.
she's kind of like, and her dad does drugs, and it's like some drug dealer is like trying to kill him, which is what the
Yes.
justification for Mr. Beastly, like kidnapping her and like
Love it.
Hunter, Kyle.
No.
whatever.
Please call him Mr. Beastly.
Okay, from now on.
Hunter is such a stupid name for this character. I mean, I get it. Like, he
Is
didn't
it
want to.
symbolic.
He didn't want
don't
to
get
blow
it.
his cover. Yeah, I mean, when he said, no, call me Hunter, I mean, after I stopped laughing, I thought about it, and I was like, yeah,
Is it?
I
though?
guess, because he's hunting for a new personality.
Yeah, see,
I
that's
don't
a
know.
stretch, though.
I
But
know.
it feels like if you pick Hunter, that does feel like it should be more symbolic, you know? It seems, I don't know. It's
I
just-
guess Kyle just isn't a name that could go with a dude who has a bunch of face tats and scars.
Well, it's mostly because he doesn't want Vanessa Hudgens to realize it's him.
Right.
Kyle,
Yeah. So he saves. So Kyle saves Vanessa
What's the
Hudgens'
character's
dad.
name? Lindy, you said
Lindy.
that. Yes.
Yeah, Lindy. So he saves Lindy, and he and
her dad, right?
And her dad, yeah, and he gets them out of the drug deal, basically. But the drug dealers promise that they're going to come for Lindy. So Lindy's dad and Kyle come up with a plan to sequester Lindy in this apartment.
Except for really, Kyle comes up with a plan, and then it's
Yes.
like, you're such a bad dad. I don't remember exactly what he does, but he basically like guilt trips him into it, right? Or like
yes,
threatens him or something.
super guilt trips.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does threaten him because he starts taking pictures of the murder and is gonna report him
That's
if he doesn't comply.
he's such a dick.
Yeah.
And there's really no and like a lot of the stuff he does being a dick about, like it's not, that's like when he's trying to change. Is him being a dick. Like you're like, at this point, the fact that he kidnaps her, I guess by the end he's like, I shouldn't just hold you here, which is like, yeah, no doubt. Like that. Of course you shouldn't do that.
But yeah, and I guess, and I have a problem with that, but my biggest problem was that this drug deal happens and then you literally never hear from these people again. This whole thing is just completely dropped.
It's a plot device.
It's a plot device to get her into the apartment with him. And
Yeah.
her dad is at the hospital in towards the end because
He overdosed.
He overdosed because we need her to leave him.
Right, and then it's
'Cause
it's
it's the
never
story.
addressed why. No, wait, I think no, it is addressed how he would, because they say he gets arrested. They're in the limo, and Vanessa and Lindy gets a text saying that the guys that she's hiding out from have been arrested.
Oh, see, I can't read the text on the phone. So I have,
Yeah.
unless they do an extreme close up, I have no idea what it says.
I think. Does she say something about it? Because I think I do remember I did have to like actually go back and pause the screen and zoom in so I could see what it said. So it might be that, but I think there might have been like an offhanded reference to it. Maybe
You're probably right, and I just
but it could
was
have.
not
But I
paying
think,
attention.
but I definitely did. I do remember I went back and paused and zoomed in, and I don't always do that. Sometimes I'm like, oh, whatever, I'll figure it out through context, and so that could be why I remembered this and you didn't.
yeah. I kept checking on the progress bar to see how many minutes I had left.
I did do that.
Because
A lot
I'm just
too.
like, are we done? Please, can we be done, please?
And I got a free trial of the Showtime streaming platform. That platform fucking sucks. I need to cancel it.
Yeah. There's The Loudest Voice is really good. The show with Russell Crowe about Roger Ailes.
Do you have the streaming subscription, or do
I
you have it on
used
Hulu?
to. No, I don't have it on Hulu. I
Okay.
used to have it through Apple, and then I just fucking canceled it because I was like, I can't pay for one more streaming service right now.
Yeah.
But I do want to finish that series because it's really good.
That's it. Because I used to have it on Hulu, but I guess they have their own one now, and that's what. And because I haven't signed up for it before, I did the free trial, so I could watch it for free. And it sucks. Like, that streaming platform sucks.
There's
it has like, I
nothing
was
there.
getting a spinning beach ball the entire movie. Like, anytime I was playing something, it was also giving me a spinning beach ball. But then it was like fine. It was still playing the movie. I don't know, it was terrible.
This was on Showtime.
It's on the streaming platform.
Okay,
I
I
don't know
broke
if it was
I
on
broke
Showtime.
down and paid the $2 to rent this.
That's
on
okay.
Apple,
I was just
yeah.
being especially cheap. I don't know why.
No, I completely get it. I didn't want to have to pay for
You
this
should
either. I just
download
didn't.
Just Watch, because that I always, before renting a movie, I always put in Just Watch, which is an app that tells you what streaming platforms have things. So you should download that.
Oh, God,
and
yeah.
everyone listening should download this, especially if
Thank
you want
you.
to follow along with the movies that we're watching.
Yes. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, good. I'm glad you canceled it. So let's see. So yeah, her dad overdoses, and that is the part of the story where, you know, in the animated version, if that her dad comes to find her and gets sick and lost in the woods, so they've fallen in love and she has to leave him. So that's why that happens. Like, that's why that has to happen, because literally he disappears for the rest of the movie until they go to the lake house, and she gets the phone call.
Well, and she also has internet access the entire time because she's on MySpace for some fucking reason. Like off-brand MySpace.
Yes.
This is like 2011.
And she has the picture of her and Kyle from the school newspaper as like her background for her computer. And it's like, okay.
I love it because it's
you
not
have
Facebook. It's definitely like
no.
off-brand MySpace.
It's some junk that somebody made in a
Right, it's a
graphics
prop,
engine and
right.
propped, and it's set up there. Yeah, it's bad. It's very bad.
It's very bad, but it's like not even trying to be Facebook, which I think is very funny in 2011 that MySpace was definitely, because it looks far more like MySpace did at that time than Facebook. But it's just very funny.
Yeah. Oh, we get to watch Kyle melodramatically delete his account.
Oh my god!
At this point,
that's how you know
he's
it's
Mr.
MySpace.
Beastly. Yeah, yeah, and he's just like that side of me is dead. Closes the laptop and just like,
He
oh
did have
god.
He had a big Taylor Swift moment, like
hello.
the old Mr. Beastly can't come to the phone right now.
Why? Because he's dead.
And it is kind of a look what you made me do kind of vibe generally.
This movie is just this little emo thing, and it's very angry, and you're just like, oh, you're so cute, you're so angry.
It's very 2010, 11.
Oh,
that was definitely the vibe of that time.
Were you happy to hear the Death Cab for Cutie
Yeah,
song, though?
okay, so I was hoping that it was going to somehow be like the last hurrah of Evanescence, but then it had like the Twilight thing, or like the OC, where it's like, oh yeah, you hired like someone who's like an indie music person to do the score, like the music.
Because it's soft acoustical guitar.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
fucking On the Radio, Regina Spektor.
Yes.
We had actually I Want You So Much Closer. That Death Cab song is like the song of the quarantine. This was like a very quarantine movie.
Extremely. When they put everybody in the apartment and they're basically like, yeah, nobody leaves.
You can't leave.
You can't leave. And I'm
It's
just like,
very funny.
oh no, it's way too close to home.
I love how this is the fourth movie because we had C. It's not a movie, but that was one of them. And we had Butterflies Are Free. All takes place in an apartment. We had Book of Eli is during the apocalypse where everyone like had a disease. Like it's very bizarre how we've seemed to completely do the somehow either like the viruses or like quarantine seem to come up in the last 4 movies.
It's permeated every facet of everyone's lives, and it shows.
Yeah, even though we've not, I mean, like other than C, which I still came out before coronavirus. Everything was made before the coronavirus.
In the
somehow
before
managed,
times.
to do this ourselves. Yeah.
Yes. So, oh my God. So we've given him accolades, but we haven't really even talked about him yet as a character. Neil Patrick Harris.
Right. Neil Patrick Harris. Yeah.
So this is before Lindy comes to the apartment. He moves in. Kyle moves in. His dad's like, yeah, we're gonna hang out, and then totally just dumps him.
Right.
And the only two people
ghosts him.
Ghosts. Thank you. That's a better word. He ghosts him. And then, so Kyle has two people. He has Zora, the maid, and Will, this blind tutor.
Oh, that's my grandfather
that his
who's
dad hired.
blind. That's what's his name was.
Oh,
I
no
forgot his
way.
name was Will.
Oh.
I probably realized that at the time that he said his name and then just forgot again. But yeah, that's my grandfather who was blind's name.
I was so excited whenever NPH was on screen. That's when I paid attention. I was so happy.
It is kind of fun. He like. Yeah, we have like about 5 scenes with him maybe.
Yeah, I think he has, and I'm being generous here, 10 minutes of actual screen time.
Yeah, that seems
maybe?
probably on like I think the upper end of the estimate. Yeah, but that seems like probably around there.
Yeah. I was happy to see his character had a cane, and he walked into the apartment and it looked like he knew how to use it.
Yeah,
Very
he does. Well. He definitely did. He didn't like look at anything though. He is wearing sunglasses most of the time.
Yeah,
right?
and yes, and I feel better about the whole sunglasses thing because I just think of it as, oh, his character has light sensitivity.
Right.
Even though like sunglasses equals a blind character, but I'm just like, okay, he has light sensitivity.
Sure.
Even though he doesn't wear them all the time. But maybe he only needs to wear them when he goes out. I don't know.
I mean, I don't wear my sunglasses. Well, now I don't wear them at all because it's like it helps to. It actually helps with my headaches because when I wear them, my eyes dilate because it's like tells my eyes it's dark. And so it will dilate, and then all of the light that's coming in from the sides of the sunglasses like hurts me, and so I stopped wearing them, and I stopped getting headaches. And I was like, why didn't no eye doctors tell me about this?
No
But
kidding.
it fucking sucks. But I mean that they didn't tell me. But I do wear a hat. If I didn't wear the hat, I'd probably still get headaches. But it's just like the hat at least can like block the sun from above. But the sunglasses like don't do that, so it makes it kind of messes with. But at least when you wear a hat, you block the sun as much as you can, but your eyes still don't dilate because there's still the retina. This is a lot of explanation, but the macula where my cells are all dead is like kind of where like above. I don't know. I'm realizing I'm just getting too into the biology of the eyeball, and I don't think this is that interesting. So I'm just gonna stop there, but yeah.
But no, it is really interesting. I think it's interesting.
It's I need to get better at talking about. I mean, I kind of am, but this part I was like, I'm gonna add too much detail. I'll perfect my little spiel. You know how everyone has their like how my eyes work spiel.
Yes.
All blind people.
Oh my god. Yes. The speech.
Yeah.
Yep.
My light sensitivity, I haven't like explained the biology of that because people get the concept of light sensitivity. So usually I just say I'm light sensitive. But yeah. So we don't really know. He doesn't seem to have vision. He loses his vision around the same
15.
age I was.
Yeah,
when
he
I
said,
got diagnosed.
Yep. The exact line is, everybody in high school lost their virginity. I lost my sight. Yeah, vision
I
at
was
15.
just like, why couldn't you do both? I mean, 15 is, I guess, kind of on the young side.
I was like, 15? Dude, 15?
It's like
no.
17,
Whoa.
I think, is the average. It seems a
Like,
little young.
what were you all doing? Yeah, and he, but that does bring up a really interesting point. You know, he lost his sight, and it sounds like he was kicked out of whatever social circles he was running in.
Yeah,
He was alone.
It's funny because part of his character, he's still capable, and he even says something about like chicks love blind guys. Like, so it's not like he's being played as asexual or anything.
No, he's he's
kind of like, but it's almost like the joke is he's a womanizer who's blind. Like, that really felt like that was like a joke, kind of.
Yeah, I didn't. That's interesting because like my hackles did not. You know, the chicks love blind guys joke. I mean, I kind of chuckled. I was like, oh, I guess we're going there.
Yeah, I mean, then this is not to say like. I mean, I guess I don't really know what to think about it, honestly.
No. I mean, I guess what if we're gonna compare his characters, if we're comparing Will to Barney, Barney is a womanizer.
Yeah.
Barney's a womanizer. Will is more cheeky. Is the best way I can describe
so is
him.
Barney.
Yeah, Barney is cheeky, but Barney he uses people. I mean, he's a womanizer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like
I don't think
Page's character Will does not have any use for anyone because he doesn't seem to have really any like clear motives for things other than, well, I'm here, I live here now.
Right.
His gonna
life
tutor you sort of, but then kind of not at all.
Yeah, no, because Mr. Beasley doesn't want that to happen, and
he doesn't.
He's the magical disabled person, and Zora is the magical person of color.
Yeah,
they're kind of sort of there.
They're very problematic archetypes too.
Yeah,
not just like archetypes.
Right. They're there to change him. They are there so his character can move along. But no one ever really...
Yeah, and it's funny. Every single character is there for him to change, and he doesn't really change very much. And also,
he literally gets to have his cake and eat it too.
Yeah, he thinks everyone's so focused on his life, and then he is mean the whole movie, and then he's sort of not, and then he is still kind of a dick by the end, but he's just does a thing.
I mean, we needed a Mrs. Potts and a Lumiere character.
Oh, right.
And that's
of course.
exactly what
You
those two
remember
are.
a lot more about Beauty and the Beast.
I love it's literally one of my favorite Disney movies. I watched it not as much as The Little Mermaid when I was a kid, but I watched that thing over and over and over. It's one of the ones I come back to a lot.
Oh, okay.
I just really enjoy it.
I was just Mulan hardcore.
Oh yeah, Mulan is amazing.
But
yeah.
That makes.
Well, Belle's my favorite princess, so that's probably why.
I just never could empathize with her. She loved reading too much, and so I was like, fuck this.
Hey, this is the girl who's reading like 6 books this week. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. Little Mermaid, I was like, well, I know how horrible it is to not have a voice, so at least I could relate to that aspect of it. So I was like, well, not having a voice does suck, but it still didn't really deal with that all that well, obviously.
Watching Little Mermaid now is one of the harder ones. I still love it. I still have nostalgia goggles for it because I played that tape literally until it broke.
I think that might have also happened in my house.
Yeah, because I loved Ariel. I loved the music. I loved looking at it. I just loved the animation. It was just my favorite thing. Watching Little Mermaid now as a grown person and a feminist is a whole lot harder.
It's like at the height of like queer villain. What is the term for that?
Coded.
Queer coded
Ursula's
villain.
a queer coded villain.
Disney villains.
Well, I mean, her physical appearance is inspired by Divine.
Yeah. No, she's very like when people say it's like people are reading into it too much, it's like,
but
come on.
It's right there.
Yeah.
She's literally staring you in the face.
Yeah.
That and the fact that, in order to get a man, you have to give up your voice.
Right, exactly, which is not
for someone to love you.
Super problematic.
Mm-hmm. And granted, Ariel gave up her voice, but not her personality. I mean, she's still she's still a person, but yeah, it's really problematic. However,
I mean, I guess if like you don't have a voice, then that's its own struggle, but the fact that like, I mean, the problem with so many of these is like, you shouldn't have to like getting a guy should never be the like thing that to justify its existence.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but the argument that's lobbied against Beauty and the Beast, besides the Stockholm argument, is that she fixes him, and that's a woman's job, is to find a guy or a partner and to fix them.
Very clearly.
Yeah.
Like, this movie really leans into that, which I guess, I don't know. I mean, like, I guess that is partly the mechanics of the Beauty and the Beast story to begin with.
It is.
Like, you can't avoid it.
I mean, but you can't say that Kyle isn't someone that needs to be fixed.
Well, he needs to be fixed, but he's got to figure that shit out by himself, though.
Sure. Yeah. But I mean, he, in the end, he gets a sweet apartment. He gets the girl. He gets mentors who come to, I'm not going to say come, because honestly, they just click and they still respect him and and trust him and everything. I mean, Zora is amazing. I'm just like, how have you not punched this guy in the face? I
mean, Zora is like unreasonably patient. You're like, this is why aren't you being like, fuck you, dude? Like, what is your problem, you entitled dick? Like, it's just like, it feels, and it's like, and it feels shitty too, because you're like, is this just like because she's getting paid and she doesn't want to lose her job? Like, but it also like sometimes feels like you're like, I think that at least she could be like a little bit more passively aggressive in this situation, like, which I never like promote passive aggression, but I'm like, I would understand if like you're being passive aggressive because you can't be outwardly aggressive to like maintain your livelihood. That's there's that power dynamic there.
Yeah. Or maybe after this whole thing happens, she knows that he's going to change and wants to help him do that. But
they really let him like figure his shit out. Like, they're so patient with him doing dumb shit.
Well, the whole thing. So he brings Lindy to the apartment, and a la in the animated version, she just wants to stay in her room. She doesn't really understand what's going on while this stuff is happening. So he brings her gifts.
Yes.
Very expensive gifts, a purse, what was the thing? Oh, some kind of jewelry, earrings, I think. And she rejects them all. I mean, I would too.
Right. What is she going to do with a purse when she can't leave her house?
Right. And
the house.
Yeah. And she doesn't know who this person is. All she knows is that she was basically just left here by her dad.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and she's like, I don't want to see him, which also, like, then I was kind of just like, why would someone be like that? Kind of confused me. I was like, in that situation, I'd want to like understand why the fuck I'm here. I wouldn't want to like be like, I just am so mad I don't even see you at all. Like, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, if she was going to be mad at someone, she should be mad at her dad.
Right, and she like sort of is like, she's mad at her dad and him,
Mm-hmm.
but she also is like, I don't even want to look at him or see him at all. Right? She's the one who does that, which I'm just like, I don't know. Wouldn't if I was in a situation where I was like, what the fuck was happening? I would want to understand who captured me. I mean, like, especially like, because then at least I would have a sense of how much I can trust them. Like, you know, you can get a lot of information from like talking to someone on how trustworthy they are. It seems like, why would you want to be stuck in a house with another person that you're refusing to like even talk to or know anything about? Seems like I would be more stressed out if I couldn't interact with them, because then it's like, who knows if I can trust them or not.
Yeah, I mean, after I found out, if I was in the situation, after I found out that the people who I'm with, I can trust them and they're not going to hurt me, yeah, I would probably open up to them, because we're human and we need human contact.
Right. It's how Stockholm Syndrome works.
That's exactly correct.
Yes.
I'm assuming that the people you're trapped with are good people.
Well, yeah, but and that's the thing though, is like, you can't know if you're refusing to even talk to the person, because it could be because even if they were a bad person, I'd want to know that. Like, I'd want to interact with them. It's helpful to know that they're bad. Like, because and then maybe I would say, I'm gonna be locked in my room, but I would have to know the person. Like, I would have to like interact with them and them do something that made me feel unsafe, and then I would avoid them. But like, my first instinct would not be like, no, I don't even know you at all, or know at all what your motives are, or have any sense of who you are as a person, because that just feels like it's more dangerous.
But if you think about the animated version, you're comparing this to that, which, how can you not? It's right here.
Well, yeah.
If you're comparing them, Belle goes to the Beast to rescue her father, and she trades her life for her father's. So she goes willingly. So this is kind of sort of the reverse, wherein the Beast saves Belle's father, and in order to keep Belle safe, the father turns Belle over to the Beast.
It's kind of more problematic.
Yeah, because it absolutely takes away Belle's agency. Like, cool thing one of the cool things about Belle that I like is she was one of the first princesses, besides, okay, maybe not the first because Jasmine, but besides Jasmine, who had agency.
Yeah. So like, because I guess she's like locked up, but she chose over like, well, I guess Mulan has the same motive.
Yeah, Mulan has loads of agency. I mean,
Mulan's the best. When I was a kid, I was like, it's only Mulan.
you're gonna go to bat for Mulan. Yes.
I was absolutely. Like, I refuse any other princesses. But but that's, I guess for me, in my head, it's always Snow White or Mulan, like the most problematic, least problematic when it comes to like agency and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So he gets advice from Rosa and Will. Rosa, I always want to call her Rosa. Her name is Zora. He gets advice from Zora and Will, on what to do. Obviously, he can't buy her love or trust or affection.
Right.
So
he just assumes he can buy her love.
Right, because he's got oodles of money. So they give him the idea. She likes flowers, roses in particular. So they give him the idea to build a greenhouse.
Right, because there's like a weird environmentalist thing that's all throughout the movie, and I don't fully understand why. Because he's running, at the beginning of the movie, he's running to be like the environmental, some sort of government.
President of the environmental committee. Yeah, which
like in student government, which is like,
which he doesn't even care about.
Campaign. Yeah, and then he's running this big campaign. It's like, that seems like a very low level job that probably no one would even be running against you normally for.
I honestly don't think this movie had an environmental message at all. I really don't.
It doesn't, but then it's so weird that it's like really thinks it does most of the, like, it brings it up all the time.
Because right now, and when the movie was made, it's cool to care about the environment, the climate. That's what a high school would be doing, I suppose.
Because I was in high school in 2011, so I was a senior. So I don't remember being. I really don't think I would have like technically, because I was thinking that in this movie, is I technically would have been exactly the same grade as these characters because it came out the year I was in the same grade they were in. So, like, no one cared about the environment. That was not, like, a thing of our class. I don't know. What do we care about? Not a lot,
You know,
I guess. But environmentalism, I feel that's like a Gen Z thing. Like, millennials were not like that with the environment.
It's a plot device. I don't understand why he's not just running for class president, because
exactly.
that would make more sense.
Way more sense.
Yeah.
It's just so weird. Like, it feels like because that would make just a million times more sense, you're like, there has to be some reason it's environmental. Like, it has to be some sort of big plot device that you can't not have that be true. But I guess it's because there's the roses. But then it's like, he's like, oh, I know what you'll like, a greenhouse. But it's like, I guess you already cared about this stuff because you were running to be the president of it. So it's like not that much of a like personality change. You're already trying to be the head of environmental stuff. So you're just making a greenhouse? That doesn't feel like that different from your personality beforehand.
Well, but again, if you compare it to the animated version, which I couldn't stop doing when I was watching,
okay.
and I won't stop doing
better,
now.
So you should help with that.
In the animated version, the Beast gives Belle a library. That's his grand. That's one of his first grand gestures.
Which is why I was like, whatever, books.
Anyway,
No,
I saw that room and cried. But just saying. So his grand gesture is to give her a greenhouse. And you get I gotta be honest, it's a pretty sick greenhouse. Like, on top of a roof, you climb through a skylight to get in it. I mean, it's a pretty sick greenhouse.
I was mad because I'm like, this is, you know how people are saying at this point in the lockdown that it's like, you shouldn't be like shaming people for not being productive enough during the lockdown. And I was like, what the fuck have I done?
Oh, I know. Dude builds greenhouse. I can play 1.5 songs on the ukulele.
Right.
But mostly I just sit around and watch YouTube and try not to be depressed.
Scripts. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was mad. I was just like, what the fuck?
It hurts. It hurts a little bit.
It's...
But now they can have classes in the sick greenhouse, and
except for they still don't really have class.
No, because Kyle bangs on Neil Patrick Harris's door and is like, hey, we need to have school right now, right here, today, because you got to make me look smart so I can totally impress this girl.
What? Why? Okay, so like, I mean, if we could like imagine being locked in our house for months, and I know this is very hard to think about, like, wouldn't you want to be like going to school or like, learning something?
Yes. The answer is yes.
I mean, I know it's like so far from our reality right now, so the ability to empathize with this situation is hard, but I don't know, I feel like I want to be learning something in this kind of scenario where you're locked in your house for months.
Yeah, and he has a live-in tutor. He has a person who is being paid to teach him.
Because I'm just like looking at like the great course. Well, we're not sponsored by anyone, but I'm just looking at random shit online that's like, oh, I could take this class. Like, and it's just like watching a video, and then I'm like, oh, but I have to look at a screen, and so now I'm bored. Or now it hurts, so I don't want to do it. But like, they're a fucking human being, and they're blind, so they're not going to make you look at some dumb screens.
Are you kidding? Every time I see a masterclass commercial, like, I just salivate. I'm like, I want so mad.
What the fuck was he doing? He couldn't even talk to Vanessa Hudgens, who's just like brooding. Like, what the fuck why wasn't he at least learning shit? It makes no sense. Like, what was he doing? Like, he wasn't even playing video games, because I feel like Neil Patrick Harris was like playing video games or something. I don't remember what he was doing.
I don't think so, but well, he was throwing darts.
Yeah,
he
throws darts. He golfs too, right? He's some random weird sports.
Oh yeah, they have the scene where something had just happened that they were celebrating. I think Beastly made a breakthrough in his relationship with Vanessa Hudgens, and so NPH was like, we need to celebrate. So they go and hit golf balls off the roof.
Oh yeah, they do it off the roof, right?
Yeah. That's actually kind of cute. Like, there are little nuggets of really cute things in this movie. That scene is cute. The scene with Beastly and Lindy when they're watching the Korean drama together, or soap opera.
Oh, right.
That was actually kind of cute.
Though like, that would probably not be in a movie now, because they're like the joke is they both say they speak Korean and then just make up stuff instead of the subtitles, which like probably not fly. Like,
well, I don't think they were doing it to make fun of Korean people.
Yeah, I mean, but the joke was like I think like, because when they say, oh, I speak Korean, I was like, probably one of them does. And then I was like, oh no, they're like, because the joke is like, you have to just assume neither of them speak Korean. And it's like, why, if you say you speak Korean, that probably means you speak, I don't know.
Well,
just
okay,
assume
so
they spoke Korean then.
I was looking at it like maybe they both do speak Korean. They're just real shitty at it.
I mean, but I think the joke is you just assume they don't, because I don't think it works if you don't assume they don't speak Korean. Because I was like, why do they speak Korean, and then why are they not? Why there's subtitles, so it's not funny to just say what the characters say. Like, I don't know.
I guess I didn't see the subtitles. Well, why would he be watching a Korean drama or soap opera? Well, I guess if he's watching it with subtitles, it doesn't matter if you don't speak the language.
I think there were subtitles. Maybe there wasn't, but like, yeah, I mean, maybe there wasn't subtitles.
I don't remember them being subtitles, but I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if that's big enough in the screen either to like for me to fully be able to see. I thought for some reason that there was, but I'm not 100% sure if there is or not. But I just was confused. But also, like, yeah, why is he like watching a Korean drama when he can't understand the language? Was it that he could only get certain channels?
I don't know. I think it was a meet cute, which is what it was.
Is that the first time they meet?
It's not the first time they meet, but it's their meet cute.
Or is it the first time when she's in the house? Because she doesn't forever.
Yeah, because she, God, was this after no, this is definitely before, I think it was before the greenhouse. Lord, I watched this movie yesterday, and it's already like.
And I watched it like a week ago.
Slipping away. I'm impressed you remember so much. Yeah, so I would count that as a meet cute because that's what it felt like. They weren't necessarily meeting for the first time, but they kind of were.
Because he has like two personalities. It's kind of like, well, no, it's not like Fight Club. It's kind of the opposite of that, I guess.
Well, his other personality is not a serial killer, which is good.
Well, also he's the same internally, but everyone else thinks he's two different people. Well, I mean, I guess everyone else is just Vanessa Hudgens because he like. Just everyone, which he also isn't he in rehab is his cover story. That's
his
Mr.
cover
Beasley.
story.
Well,
yeah, he's not in rehab.
It's
his cover. He's rich and white. He's in rehab. He's rich, white, and absent. He's in rehab.
Which is like, do they say anything about like, wow, I didn't even know he did drugs?
No, because rehab was a cover. No one in this movie's in rehab.
No, well, is her dad in rehab?
I don't know.
I don't remember, but he would potentially be.
Yes, potentially.
He does have some sort of addiction. That's kind of.
But the movie doesn't care about that, and neither do I.
Right. Well, I just thought like the rehab, as an excuse. It was just like kind of. It seems weird. Like, you know, usually when people are in rehab, they like someone knows that they did drugs before they go to rehab. Seems kind of like a weird cover. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, I guess maybe that was a time where it wasn't as where people were more covert about doing drugs. I don't know.
I don't know. I doubt that, but I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if I was necessarily too horribly convinced that NPH was blind. I don't know. I believe him because he's the one of the best actors in the film. So I just automatically believe it.
You believe him a little. You know what it is? You believe him more as a human being.
Exactly. Because even though his dialogue is cheeky and stilted, he
like plays it more as a human.
Yeah. He is a human person who went through these human things, who is going through these human things. Him and Zora feel like real people. They don't feel
other than Zora being like way too patient.
Oh yeah, well yeah, except for that, yeah.
Because at least NPH is like a little bit more sarcastic.
He doesn't he's not gonna put up with Hunter's shit.
Yeah,
yeah.
Which I guess that's also like maybe why he feels more believable is that he is like seems to be reacting to things happening around him. By like not putting up with shit, like because everyone else seems to kind of put up with his shit, or like the way that they don't put up with it are like bizarre, like Vanessa Hudgens being like, I'm not gonna look at you, I can't know who you are. Which doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I mean I guess that one kind of you have to do it. But
well, and there's a scene where NPH is getting dressed in the morning and he's putting on a shirt and tie and feeling like choosing which tie that he wants. And I think Kyle Hunter, Mr. Beasley, asked him the question about you can't see, why do you think it matters so much that you look good, that you look, put together? Okay, this is the start of that scene. Feeling the ties.
Defying expectations, Blindy keeps up his bitchin' sense of style. Holdover from my seeing days.
Point being, no matter what, how you look matters.
Point being, it's not about how others look at me. It's about how I look at myself.
Right.
That's what I was trying
Mental
to
Rubik's
say.
Cube, I know. But
Mental Rubik's
one day it'll
Cube.
make sense.
So I might still be waiting for that day to come.
Yeah,
when
okay,
it makes
so,
sense.
Yeah, so that's the scene. That's the scene I was trying to talk about.
Yeah. So what does that mean to you?
It's about accepting yourself. I don't care. I still look good. I still dress myself the way I want to. I still present myself the way I want to.
Oh yeah.
Because I care about how I look, or about how how
you
the
look
world,
to yourself.
how I look to myself. Exactly. I don't care. I don't get dressed in the morning to please other people. I get dressed to please myself. I'm the way I look because I like the way I look, and it makes me happy.
I guess I agree with all that. Yeah, that seems true. Mm-hmm. I think it's just like a kind of, it's just such an unspecifically blind thought. I feel like maybe
Unspecifically blind?
Yeah, I mean that, because isn't that kind of like true for everyone's journey?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you don't have to be
Like,
blind
really,
to go on that journey.
It
Yeah.
has, but it does. I feel like it's like, I don't know if it's more true for blind people.
Well, I mean, disabled people in general, I think there's a lot of self-acceptance that has to happen, because
Definitely.
you are different from other people.
Yeah.
And other people are also different from other people. Everyone is different from everyone.
But you're not the norm, and you also, like,
Right.
society in a way kind of like makes you seem ugly.
Exactly.
Because of something you can't control, except for in this case he literally did something bad and it was a punishment.
Yeah, he was cursed, but yeah, still. Yeah.
But in reality, people, that's not really how it works. But yeah, so yeah, that's it's a good message. I mean, the ties, I guess, does feel very much like that's an outward that has a lot more to do with like dressing so that people
Right.
can like how they see you. So
Right.
it feels like a little bit of a like kind of muddled metaphor. It's like a Rubik's
Yeah,
cube,
but
I
I mean,
guess.
he says it's left over from my sighted days.
Oh, he
It's-
does say that. Yeah.
So there are some things that are holdovers, maybe, that people might still do because it gives them comfort.
Right, but then
Not-
it's like really probably affecting the people in your life more than you.
I don't know. I mean, it gives him comfort, and he's
Enclothed cognition, that's a real thing. I mean, that's
Yeah.
fair. I mean, I definitely, part of it's, the sight that I have, like seeing the way I dress is important, but like it's also like the way it makes you feel. And I
Right.
think a lot of what I wear, it's not just that. It's a lot about how I feel wearing it more than it is just about like being able to look at myself in the mirror or whatever. It's like, it's a way of presenting my identity in a concrete way. And that doesn't always have to be visual.
I mean, the question is, though, why is this character blind?
Yes.
And he has to explain that. That brings up the whole, it's the magical disabled person, because this person has got it all figured out and has, I'm not going to say overcome. I am, because of the end, because of how this shitty movie ends.
Yeah, that we haven't
It's-
talked about the end because
This was pretty much the nail in the coffin. It's like, I don't have any
this is
desire
the
to ever
worst
watch
part.
this movie again.
It's so bad. It's okay. So, but let's talk a little bit about that.
So he ends up having another conversation with Mary Kate Olsen, because he realizes that he's in love with Lindy, but she doesn't realize it yet, and there's no more time. He's begging for more time, basically. And she's like, nah, the curse is what it is.
son.
I can't take it back. It's magic, da-da-da-da-da.
yeah,
So he begs her not for him, but he begs for Zora's family and he begs for Will's sight.
He's like, it's not just, she's like, you're still being selfish. And he's like, it's not just about me. There's like a woman who, now that we're doing clips, I feel like we need to find everything.
Yes, so he begs, so not for himself, but he begs for Zora and Will and Lindy.
Which, like, okay, so did you have any sense at that point that Neil Patrick Harris had any interest in being cited?
No, not at all.
He doesn't say anything.
He doesn't bring,
even remotely.
He doesn't bring it up. No, he doesn't say that he misses it. He's out of everybody, he is a very well-adjusted human being.
Yeah, he's so well-adjusted.
Yeah, he's just been put in this place, in this situation, because we need a walking metaphor for, it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside, it's all about what is on the inside, because he's blind and outer appearances don't fucking matter.
But then, like, it really muddles even that metaphor if you're like, but he secretly wants to see. It's like, okay, so they don't matter, but also, like, everyone wants to see, even if you are well-adjusted blind person.
I'm not sure that he really wants to see, though.
Well, he doesn't until the end, when all of a sudden he does, because like
he had no.
Mr. Beastly says he does,
right? Because he has no choice. He has
right.
no choice in the matter.
Thing.
He's just given sight, and
right, and then he's given sight.
Right. Okay.
When
sorry.
We have no sense that he wants it, but the movie seems to think that just the fact that he's blind must mean that he wants it. Because neither of us thought he wanted it at all, because we're actual blind people.
Because that's the assumption that a lot of people make about disabled people.
Right.
Oh, wouldn't it be better if you could walk? Wouldn't it be better if you could see? Wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be better? I can't. I don't know much about invisible disability, mental health, mental disability.
Yeah,
I can't say like
isn't a different. It's
wouldn't
slightly
it be
different
better?
Category. But like. Yeah, I mean, but most people with like a physical, cognitive, and then like...
Right. Wouldn't you rather be quote unquote normal? And I've been asked this question by people, like just straight up. People will ask it. And I'm like, first of all, rude. Second of all...
very rude.
Yeah. Second of all, me 20 years ago would have a completely different answer than me today.
Right.
Well,
I think, I don't know. I think for me that transition to like being like, no, of course I want to be who I am, like was just because the second you come out as disabled, people just like bombard you with like, don't you want to be this? Don't you want to not be this? Why would anyone ever want to be blind?
If there was a magic procedure that could, fix you, and people are like, well, no, there's eye surgery now and procedures. I'm like, yeah, none of which will work on me.
Right. And that's the thing is I have like a panic attack at the idea that someday something could change my eyesight, because then I like, which is why I'll always be like, first of all, that doesn't exist. Second of all, like, I don't want it. And so if it does exist, do not at me. Like, I don't want to fucking hear about it.
I mean, it basically boils down to we are not broken people because of our disability. There's a whole shit ton of things that make me a broken person. My disability is not one of them.
I don't know. I'm going to push back on that, on the first part of that. But I have not noticed anything broken about you, Melissa.
Oh,
so
thank you.
I don't know about that part of it, but I definitely also don't think your blindness makes you broken either.
Thank you. That's my very self-deprecating self that I am trying to curve. But yeah, let me rephrase this. There's a whole bunch of problems in my life that I would, if I had a magic wand, I would fix. My disability is not one of them.
Yeah, exactly. It's really, and it is so, it's just, I was really... Every time I'm going to say blindsided, I'm like, whatever. But, like, just the fact that he really just assumes, like, because it's really when Mr. Beastly, Hunter Kyle, like, says it to, what is Mary Kate's?
Oh, her name's, like, Kendra, I think.
Kendra.
Yeah, Kendra.
Yes, Kendra. When he says to Kendra, like, a guy who wants to see him, like, what? Who's this? Who are you talking about? Guy who wants to see? It's just like so out of left field, and then it's just like the movie really does assume that, like, well, yeah, anyone watching this knows, because obviously Neil Patrick Harris is blind, so obviously he wants to see.
Yeah, it's just such a terrible and insidious message for disabled people who are watching that, because I mean you're just. It's the purveying feeling of what is considered quote unquote normal.
Right.
And I mean, and the only one I think who made, who got a good thing in the end was Zora. All of her
'cause her
kids got
kids-
green cards.
Right, which that's like that's like you're fighting against actual like systemic oppression stuff. And like that, yeah, I mean, really, what does Vanessa Hudgens get? The guys trying to kill her dad get arrested?
Yeah, I think we came to an agreement that they got arrested. Well, I mean, she gets him. She gets,
yeah,
she gets
but
her
it's not that
fairy
great.
tale
He's
ending.
kind of a
no,
dick.
I know.
She could probably do
I know,
better.
I know. This
She's
is
like a very, I mean, I guess she's kind of a manic pixie dream girl character, but she's like, seems like way too good of a person to be someone who would like just a kind of like generic douchebag like him.
Yeah. This is why if I was writing this movie, the ending would be that Kyle, I'm fine with them falling in love. I'm actually okay with that. Fine, because we have to have it for the story. Fine. My ending would be that she tells him that she loves him, but she's too late. She's like she's too late. And he has to stay the same forever because he thinks that's what's going to happen. Because when he hugs her, when she's going to Machu Picchu, he says, I'll be right here. Nothing is ever going to change.
Right.
And she goes to leave. And I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, this is great. Because in my version, he stays the way he is. Obviously, Will doesn't get his sight back. Kyle gives up his wish, his whatever leverage that he has with Kendra, and Zora gets her kids.
Right.
That's be selfless.
Right.
Do a selfless act. Like he could be pretty, but he should do something like this. That's how I want the movie to end. Obviously, that's not how the movie ended. He changes back. She comes back to find him because apparently she's not going to Machu Picchu no more. I would not give up a trip to Machu Picchu for this guy. I'm sorry.
I thought she didn't.
I'm hoping
Because
that she didn't.
I would have been furious if she did. And
Well,
I kept being like, is she going to give it up? And then
It says there's a countdown for the bus, and it says the bus is leaving in 5 minutes, and then they have their whole like, I love you, I know, blah, blah, blah. They have their whole exchange, and it says the bus is leaving, the bus is getting ready to depart, and she goes off, and he goes away, and all of a sudden he changes, and then she comes running out the door. So either she held the bus, which I doubt, or she gave up her trip to tell him how she really feels.
oh,
I honestly think she gave up the trip.
huh. I really maybe. I mean, because I definitely was like that entire scene. I was just like, go, don't fucking, this is so stupid. And I don't remember because I would have been so furious if she'd missed the trip. And I don't remember being furious, but it might be that it was just very ambiguous and they never really said which one. And so I just read it as she went and you read it as she didn't. Because I really would have, because that would have been the one thing I remembered about the movie is I would have been pissed. Because I was like, the entire movie, I was like, why isn't he letting her go? Just let her go to the trip. Like, that was something that I thought about the entire movie. I was like, she should be able to go to this trip. Like, it's stupid that she's not getting to go. So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't
It
think
must
she-
be
I don't think she would've-
ambiguous.
Sure.
I don't... Maybe. I just would have been so mad. Because I thought that she was like, I'll come back. Because it's only like a few weeks. She could have come back.
Oh, totally. Yeah, and I don't
Because I
think...
thought everyone got what made sense for them other than Neil Patrick Harris. Like, because I thought that... Because that was like the main thing I was mad about was that she was going to miss her trip. And I was mad about that from the beginning. And I feel like I would have remembered if she totally missed it. Because then I would... Because I feel like that was the... As the movie progressed, that was my main thought was like, she better not miss this fucking trip. She better still get to go to this trip. And so I really thought she did. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's ambiguous. Maybe, because if it ends with them kissing, I just assumed that she was still going to get to go.
Yeah, I mean, my thought is, again, the bus is left. Like, the bus is leaving. It already left. I'm pretty sure she brings her suitcase with her. That's why I was like, oh, she didn't go on the trip, because she brings her suitcase with her.
But is the bus going to Machu Picchu or going to the airport?
I mean, I'm assuming it's going to the airport.
I just assumed she would get a ride to the airport.
Even though it says the bus to Machu Picchu. And I'm like, first of all, that's a 3-month bus ride right there, because you have to go through all of Central America.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Right.
No. No, I'm assuming it's a bus to the airport that you will
Was for
fly
the flight
to Machu Picchu.
because it's with the school. So I mean, maybe the idea is like the bus needs to get to the flight on time for the school trip. They need to
Sure.
leave at this time. Like I guess that makes sense because it's at the school that
Well, I mean,
they have
that's-
that announcement.
Yeah, but I mean, even when I went to Costa Rica, we surely didn't do it that way. We were given a time to show up at the airport, and we showed up.
Right. Well, because that's why I was assuming she would just like get a ride to the airport.
But a bus is also, if you think about it, like the bus and the train are super cliche. You know, you
Right.
have
Did
a
we talk
couple.
about the train scene? I don't think we did.
No, we didn't, because
She goes back on the train.
Okay, that's another thing. He drives her to the lake house in a goddamn limousine. They're at the lake house. She gets the call. Okay, I have to go back. My father's OD'd. So he puts her on a fucking train? What is this? What?
Like I guess
Why
it's
not
like
drive her to the fucking hospital?
I mean, maybe it's New York because the trains are faster. I think most of the time.
I guess, but
I think it's a New York thing. I also thought about that, especially like coming from Southern California. But I will give it that it could be just the logistical, makes sense logistically in New York if there's traffic. But it didn't seem like there was that much traffic.
no, and I don't think, and they must have been like in upstate New York or something. It was a freaking
Yeah, they
chateau
probably
that
were
he
in
took her to.
upstate. They were definitely not in the city when they were in the lake house.
No, and I'm just like, this is so stupid.
It was very
Frustrating. These little like, and the reason they put her on the train is so she could read the letter and he could run after the train. Literally,
why did he run after the train?
Because it's a cliche, my
He's
friend.
like, don't read the letter.
Right.
It's like, well, why did you give it to her then?
He's running after the train.
Because he's writing her a letter the whole movie.
Right, about their relationship basically and how it's developing.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, maybe just like talk to her. Because at the beginning of the movie, she's like, why don't people write letters anymore? Which is like the most 2011 cliche.
And that's it's the Chekhov's letter. She says, why don't people write letters anymore? What does he spend the whole movie doing? Writing a letter.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even that. It's like if the Chekhov's gun was like the beginning of the movie. You're like, okay, now we're going to war and here's a gun. Like, you know, that's
a
like
we're literal Chekhov's gun, but yeah.
Right, no, but I mean that's because he starts writing the letter pretty early out of the movie. It's like, okay, so it's not by the third act. It's like in the first act he starts writing the stupid letter.
Right, but the letter isn't actually physically fired or deployed until the end. Yeah.
Right, I guess, yeah. That's interesting. When is it writing the letter or receiving the letter? I guess receiving the letter is the gun going off.
Yeah, exactly, because the information is being given and known and uncovered. So I would say
I buy that. Yeah, but anyway, she reads the letter on the train, which also, like, why was he like, don't read it?
He got cold feet.
I guess.
He just thought that she wouldn't want to be with him.
And doesn't he like write it, or doesn't he give it to her as she's getting on the train?
Well, he gives it to her at the lake house.
Okay, I couldn't remember. So especially dumb.
Yeah, I think what he wanted was for her to read it, or for them to read it together, so that they could talk about it. And then she reads it.
Do you know what a letter is?
I'm jumping through a lot of hoops here.
I think that is right.
She reads, so she reads it by her lonesome, and then he gets cold feet, and then doesn't freaking call her or talk to her about it.
It is very. He just like ghosts her basically.
Yep. Until she's getting on the bus to Machu Picchu.
And at least when he first shows up when she's getting on the bus, she's like, "What the fuck, dude?" But then I feel like she kind of forgives him pretty quickly.
Well, yeah. I mean, because she has to.
I hate when people. I get that like some people do this, but I just want to like slap anyone who ever does this in real life or in a movie. I'm just like, come on, dude, just communicate. Like, it's not that hard. Just be a fucking communicator.
I know. I was in the same boat. I'm just like, this is dumb. We're doing this because it's the script, because we have to check all of these boxes.
Right.
Yeah, it's
stupid.
It's very stupid.
And it's because he's like, and it's also like at this point he's like, I need her to say I love you. It's like, well, maybe if you answered her calls, she would say I love you on the call. Like, she read this letter that you wrote her.
Or you'd at least talk about it. But again, it's drama. It's dramatic effect.
I guess, but then isn't it during the time where he's not talking to her that he goes to Kendra and is like, make every, give me some more time.
That's before this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then he takes her to the lake house.
Okay. That makes
Because
more
that's
sense.
when he was going to profess his love. He had the letter. He took her to a fancy place. This is where he grew up in his childhood. He was going to profess his love there. But then the phone call happened.
Right. But then there's also the question of like, he didn't get more time, so like the time had already run out in the Machu Picchu trip.
I thought so. I
I did too.
He was like a minute past, and then she said, "I love you."
Which,
And I was like, oh, cool. He's going to have to stay that way. And he himself thinks he is because he accepts it. He's like, nothing is going to change when you get back. Don't worry. Nothing will have changed. So he has fully accepted the fact that he is the way he is, and he loves her, and this is what life is. And then, of course, he leaves and changes back to himself.
see, it's so funny because I definitely never thought he was going to change back. I just thought they were going to do a very last minute thing, and then I was like, well, this kind of undercuts it by being after the last minute. Like, I still assumed he was going to change back, but I was like, you're kind of undercutting your whole thing, like making it because then the whole movie's pointless. Like, why do you think he had a time limit if he didn't? But then also the question is, how long was he ignoring her calls? Because I thought that was like weeks, and then if he was going to profess his love at the house, then why was he going to do it then when he had weeks left after that?
My answer is just, it's the script at this point.
Yeah, but it feels like it would be tighter, make more sense if you didn't have the whole months where he's like ignoring your calls or whatever. I guess, I don't know. I guess it's like a week, right? Because I think she's like 10 days at the lake house or something.
I would assume. Maybe.
I don't think it's like a month. But anyway, it's just...
I don't know. Time makes no sense in this movie.
Yeah, it is super unclear when things are happening and why anything's happening. But it is hard because it's like things are almost make sense. Like there's a lot of stuff where you're like, okay, like enough of this. It's kind of like the Zara has kids and that's why he's mean to her. Because like, okay, because his mom's gone. So he's mean to her because she's also an absentee mom. And you're like, okay, at least it's like some sort of justification. But then it also is like, yeah, but it doesn't fully, like, it still doesn't track both of their behavior most of the time. It still doesn't fully make sense. And it's a lot of that. It's a lot of just like, okay, so I guess you sort of justified this, but then it also like it falls apart once you start actually trying to like figure out why this is a justification for, certain things. But yeah, and the timeline's very confusing. But yeah. So yeah, NPH becomes sighted again at the end.
Yeah.
And then, but he does seem to, like, by the end of the movie when he becomes sighted, it seems like he's like, oh my God, it's amazing. I get to see. And you're like, what?
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother topic that the movie doesn't care about and doesn't have time to cover at that point. It's just like, oh, he got vision. It's amazing. It's just the greatest gift in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it is, like, surprising in how, like, I feel like the movie tries to like humanize him, and maybe you're right that it is just MPH is the better actor of everyone in the movie.
He is.
That's why he feels more human.
I think him and Zora are the best people in the movie, to be honest. Now, I'm not saying Pettifer and Hutchins are terrible actors.
I mean, their characters are kind of like, what the fuck?
Their characters are weak sauce. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the scene, the little Korean scene, and I think the scene in the greenhouse when they're reading the poem, and when they're, and maybe I'm just feeling sappy or something. I don't know. But I think...
See, I hated that scene in the greenhouse when they're reading the poem. I'm like, fucking study. Why are you just reading a fucking poem she already knows?
That's what he wanted to do, though. Anyway.
Well, yeah, and we at the very beginning of our episode of this podcast talked about them making the greenhouse and going for the schooling, but then we didn't actually say at the end of that, which is that they read a poem and then Neil Patrick Harris is just like, out. I said, this was all a ruse to get you two alone together. And then him and Zora both just leave for them to be like, we have a poem. I'm like, this is your chance to learn, and you're fucking throwing that away by like reading a dumb poem that like Vanessa Hudgens' character already knows. Because he's like, I want to sound smart, but then she already knows the poem. Which, like, I don't know.
You're thinking way too hard about that, and the movie just doesn't care. We need them to be alone in the greenhouse because they have to read this poem because they're going to fall further and further in love with each other.
Right.
That's the reason.
Yeah.
You don't need the other characters serve their purpose. They can leave now.
Well, I mean, that's literally what the characters are saying, though. It's
Yeah.
not just the movie.
Yeah. We're done.
Because they're like, we
go.
did what we did. But it is, I just don't fully understand how that was like the thing that.
It's kind of like everybody thinks / knows they must be in some kind of a fairy story, because Zora also takes Kyle's change incredibly well. Just like, oh, this is a thing that happened to you. Oh, you met this girl and you're trying to fall in love with her. Okay, here's some motherly advice.
This is
Here's
why
what
Zora
you do.
does not feel like a real person to me. She's just too like accepting and too like just willing to like take bullshit that people are not generally willing to deal
I
with.
guess now that I say it out loud. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she is the motherly figure. That's what her job is. That's what her
Right.
character
She's
is.
like a surrogate mother for Mr. Beasley.
Becomes, yeah.
Yeah, what if his mom was secretly in Jamaica being the mother to her children? Wouldn't that be wacky?
Yes.
But yeah, so yeah, NPH becomes cited,
Yeah. And it's
and all of a sudden he wants to be.
yeah,
for
it
some
just
reason.
left a really, I mean, I'm like, wow, movie, you were bad, and then you just literally, it's like the movie is walking out the door,
And
and it just
into a
slapped
cliff.
me in the face.
Oh, I was gonna say walking out the door and into the cliff and onto a cliff where it just falls.
that
to its death.
that also works too. But no, for me, it felt more like, yeah, I put you through all this, and now I'm gonna leave, and by the way, slap.
Yeah. I
just-
guess that also makes more sense. as
It
a
left
metaphor.
it left a really sour taste in my mouth.
No,
as,
it totally-
as a disabled person.
It definitely does, and it's so like because it's not. I mean, MPH, he seems like a real person because of MPH. His character doesn't always make sense. There's a lot of weird contradictions about him, and like it doesn't really have a. He's like kind of the least concise character in some ways, like because theoretically, if you have a blind character and a guy who's made ugly, that would be why he's blind. But they don't really make it about that. Like even though we can pick that apart, there's nothing that's really like because he's ugly, that's why he has a blind tooth. Like I guess you have inferred that's why Neil Patrick Harris is there, but it's not really very like they don't talk about that. That doesn't seem to be the purpose of NPH's character. It's not really clear what his purpose is at all.
Yeah, I mean, unless his dad put out an ad in the paper that said tutor needs to
ugly
be
kid.
blind because my kid is so ugly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe that is. I mean, because you kind of assume that when NPH gets there, but then they literally never really address that. Like, because they could do a lot of stuff of, like, he's like, well, it doesn't bother me, but they don't do any of that, really. Like,
But would you really have wanted to watch Neil Patrick Harris get to know Beasley by, you know, touching his face and you know, oh, I'm
he
covered
has all
in
those
covered in
scars, though.
scars. I mean, that honestly, I wanted to touch his face through the whole thing. Like I was like, I just want to touch you. 'Cause, oh my God, you have some that are raised and some that are shiny and some that look like they're metal and some that
No,
are
it's
just
true.
drawn on. And he looks really
it's
cool.
true that this is the only movie where I would understand a face touching scene, which normally I am very against it. But this one, I'm like, yeah, I get there's a lot of tactile information that would not normally be on a person's face that you would kind of just, you know, like kind of maybe in a problematic way, because it is kind of like, you know, a kid I touch your hair kind of moment of just being like, can I touch your like weird face
That must have
scars?
been awful to be in the makeup chair for. I mean, because obviously he didn't go out and get tattooed and scarred for this movie. That's all makeup.
Yeah, no, that would be kind of definitely be a hassle. Yeah. So, so MPH doesn't really, he doesn't do a lot of like, I can see past, like I guess he kind of does. Maybe at some point he really doesn't though. I'm surprised how
because
little of that there is.
He's the only person who doesn't put up with his bullshit.
Right. Yeah, but then it's also like he meets him when he has all the scars on his face. So really at that point, no one should be putting up with this bullshit. And so it's like, why is MPH now that he's blind? Like it's like, yeah, I mean, everyone puts up with his bullshit when he's pretty and when he's not. And then MPH never does.
Well, I mean, he's a blind character. And if we're going on the thing about, you know, if you're blind, you don't care about a person's looks. It's about their personality, their behavior.
Yeah. Right, but that's not like part of the movie, really.
No, not really. Neil Patrick Harris's character is It's the movie trying to be deep, but it doesn't have to.
doesn't,
It doesn't
like,
have
actually
to
do it.
explain anything, and it doesn't have to. Yeah,
Right, it's kind of like trying to like get like a basketball in the hoop, and it's just like, we got the basketball, and you're like, you also have to like throw it, and you're like, nope, well, we got the basketball and we have the hoop, so we're good. We don't have to actually do the it's like, no, I think that's part of it, and you kind of have to do at least try throwing it, like do something. And it's like, no, we just have the materials.
also it's, I mean, and this is kind of the thing that we ran into when we're talking about Onward. We're trying to flesh out a character who gets 10 minutes of screen time.
Yeah,
It's very difficult to do.
kind of more like Robin Hood, maybe.
Yeah,
because
a little
Onward
more
is
like
like
Robin Hood.
slightly different, because it's like not the same kind of disabled character. I feel like Robin Hood's probably closer analogous,
Yeah.
because it's like a sidekick character that's like, only in some of it and not in the main, like, not part of the main kind of focus.
Right.
But yeah, so that's
We did it.
Yeah.
That's beastly.
yeah. Okay, let's do our
Yes, let's rate this puppy.
yes. Let's see. I'll go first.
Go for it. Cool.
I'll give it. It's weird. I didn't actually think about this before we started recording.
Oh, I've got mine.
I'll give it a. I think I'll give it a 2020. I was gonna give it a 2015, but I'll just give it a flat 2020. I feel like, yeah, it is weird that this movie, like, even if it did have NPH, like, I can see past like your scars, which I don't know, at least that's like something you're thinking about. Like, so maybe that would have made it higher, and that you actually like, you have a blind character that has any sort of like opinions on what's going on. But like, NPH is just not, like, his character is not fleshed out, and even if his performance makes it seem more like a human, he as a character doesn't really have, it's not very consistent. Like, we kind of get windows into his personality, but then they don't really make sense. Like, there's no sort of like cohesive character. Like, he feels just kind of lost in like what sighted people think about what a blind person would be like, especially at the end when he becomes sighted. I think that like that is kind of the culmination of a character that is just a bunch of just like ideas about maybe what blindness are like, none of which coming from a blind person, all of which coming from sighted people. And I think that like it could be worse. It could be like, I think I'm not going to give it under 2020, because I think that would, it doesn't feel like that's malice or it's like specifically harmful, other than obviously the fact that all blind people want to be sighted, I think is harmful. But aside from that, nothing else is harmful. It's all just kind of like benign, dumb stuff. Like, it isn't super, like making it seem like blind people are villains of some kind. Like, he's just kind of, he's like sarcastic and stuff, which, I'm fine with sarcastic characters. It's relatable. Like, that's fine. But he's just like, he's just not a very well thought out character, and he really they could have done a lot more with him. Like, it seems like a missed opportunity of just even like plot wise. But there isn't a blind character in Beauty and the Beast, and they really are trying to do the plot points of Beauty and the Beast. So like, I think they couldn't really think through his character if they're trying so hard to stick to all the story beats. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm falling. What is your blindness acuity?
Well, congratulations. For the first time, I think our ratings match. It's a solid 2020.
Onward was the same.
Oh, it was the same. Okay, good. So the second time, sorry. So yeah, for the second time, our ratings match. It's a 2020 for me. The only thing that saves it from going any lower is because Neil Patrick Harris is just charming as fuck, and it was really fun to watch him play a blind person, because I for the little that you see him, I think he did a really good job. I would hope that he counseled with a friend or with someone who was blind on the mannerisms.
Yeah. Sometimes. I mean, like, there wasn't anything glaring.
No, there wasn't anything that was just like, oh my God, he's obviously not practiced or not blind or whatever. I mean, the dartboard, okay,
it's not really explained why he'd be good at that.
Unbelievable,
Yeah.
but okay, whatever. Yeah. I'll buy that. Like you said, as far as movies go, this one's pretty innocuous. I wish that he didn't get his sight back in the end. I just think that's stupid and unnecessary.
Definitely.
And it's provocating a problem. But aside from that, 2020. I mean, when the only character we can talk about that's blind, that only has 10 minutes of screen time, it's a little hard. But
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything to gain from watching or not watching this movie. It is your choice.
An hour and a
it's
half
fine.
would be something to gain from not watching it.
That is true. Luckily, for the most part, it goes by pretty fast.
Yeah.
Pretty fast.
It's a short movie. It's not too bad.
Oh,
Near the end, you kind of were like, is this still going to happen?
Yeah. Also, one more thing I wanted to bring up. We don't have to necessarily have a discussion about it, but I just want to say it from a purely filmic standpoint. The action in this movie, what little there is edited so goddamn poorly. It drove me crazy.
The editing is very bizarre in this movie.
The scene where he's riding his motorcycle, it's just him riding his motorcycle to the party. There's like 45 cuts in it. In one, it's like cut. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going crazy because I don't know what to focus on, because by the time I'm focused on what I'm supposed to be looking at, the scene changes and it's ridiculous. And the fight, in quotes, between him and the drug dealers, I can't tell you what's going on. It's dark and the edits are weird. Incomprehensible is a great word because that's exactly what it is. So there you go. So it also features really bad editing.
Can I just say that I love this, and that mine, I was like, wow, I'm talking mostly about MPH during mine, and you talked about the editing. Look at us. It's like we're really learning each other.
Yeah. Well, that's because, I told you I was super biased when I came into this, and NPH gets a pass.
Well, that's it.
But the editing, I'm not gonna let that slide. It's bad.
It's no, it is really bad, and I think part of it is maybe because I watched it like more than a week ago now. I think because that was very high in my mind while I was watching it, and I think that didn't translate over time. I think I forgot about how bad it is, but you're totally right, and thank you for bringing that up because I forgot to mention that. But yeah, it is completely like they will get so much coverage for a scene, and then it will just feel like they didn't get good cuts because you'll be like, this was not a time to be cutting. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, also, I'm pretty sure there's a bit where Pettifer flubs a line and they kept it in.
Oh,
it's very small, but it doesn't sound like a natural flub, or it doesn't sound like he naturally tried to cover it. So he's having a conversation at the table with Will and Zora. It's the bit where Will freaks him out by trying to overpour his water glass.
Oh yeah.
And again, it's NPH, so it was funny. But he goes to say something about his parents, and he's like, I don't want to talk about my parents. I don't want to talk about because my parents are. It's very small, and you wouldn't notice it unless you had to memorize a lot of lines in your life. But I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure there's a line flub that got left in there.
Is that because I was like, what is he saying? Because I do remember being like, what did he say? Like, what? That was incomprehensible. So you might be right.
Something about his parents. Yeah.
Yeah, because he said something about his parents, and it was like, it was weird. I think that might be right, because I do remember very distinctly being like, because I was like going to bring up that scene, but I was like, but he said something and it didn't make any sense. So I don't even know what the point of that scene was, because I missed something. But you might actually be right that he flubbed the line.
Which, hey, it happens. I have flubbed many lines in my day. So I'm not trying to drag him, the actor for flubbing the line.
Well, the editor,
happens.
whoever edited
but
this
why
sucks.
would you leave it in?
Yeah.
Like, was that really your only good take?
Well, that's the problem, is I think that like the editor sucks, or they just did not get enough shots. Like that there's a decent amount of stuff that because that could also be like, it's either the editor sucks or the coverage they got of different scenes was not good, and so they had to like edit it in a stupid way that's very jarring to like make it work. But yeah, it is weird because there's no stylistic reason for the cuts to be the way that they are. It doesn't make sense.
This is not an action movie. This is like Sunday afternoon movie, or like it's on Lifetime at 3 a.m. or something.
Right.
That's the type of movie this is.
Right, and it's cut as an action movie in many scenes where people are just talking. You're like, what? This is not an action
Too
scene.
many.
You just need one shot.
Oh God! Even at the friggin' parties, cut. And I'm just like, I can't.
It's extremely hard to keep track. Yeah, I did breathe a sigh of relief when we just started to just be in an apartment, because I'm like, there's less bullshit we can do here. At least I like can learn what the rooms are, and then it's not so fucking jarring. But yeah, it's weird movie.
Yay! Hooray for terrible editing.
Yeah.
That's so we did it. That is beastly.
Yeah, that is our beastly.
If you feel you must watch this, I rented it on iTunes, and
you can get a free trial of Showtime. And I mean, you do you, but like also probably do the free trial and cancel it. It sucks. I hate it. But you do you if you like it.
Yeah, I'm guessing you can probably find bits and pieces of this on YouTube.
Maybe.
Or maybe the whole thing. I don't know. We
We don't recommend it, right? Neither of us would recommend it. Yeah.
No. I mean, if you must, like, if you're a huge NPH fan, like a completist, or you like Vanessa Hudgens or Alex Pettifer,
Or if you want to listen to these episodes and also watch the movie every time, I guess.
sure, then yeah. But as far as like, would I casually recommend this to someone? No.
Yeah, no,
no,
definitely not.
No.
Yeah. I think that's a good wrap on Beastly. It is a quarantine movie, though. If you're like making a list because you have too much time on your hands, you can put this one on it. You don't have to watch it. Just know that there is like a quarantine-esque aspects to it. So that leads us into next week's episode.
It's your week. What are we watching next week?
Okay, this is exciting. Okay, so when we weren't something I'll edit out from just this trying to find the clip.
Yeah.
I was saying that it is subtitled, so I'm apologizing for this again. But the movie is called The Way He Looks. It is Brazilian. It's in Portuguese.
Oh, cool. Okay.
We just had a lot of like very heteronormative like relationship movies, and I was like, oh, we should have like a lady kicking ass, and then I'm like, oh, that's like very hard to find. So I just settled on a two guy love story.
Hell yeah.
So that's why
I'm totally game for that. Yes, I agree. Almost any relationship we've talked about has been heteronormative.
super and like also the dude is always blind, so now the dude is blind, but it's also at least with another dude, as opposed to like all this.
I'm excited. When did this come out? What's the release date?
2014.
Okay,
so
cool. Okay,
past our Evanescence window. Unless they will surprise us.
Sadly, there'll be no Evanescence in this movie.
In Brazil, they're like 10 years off on the.
It's gonna be
pop music.
or it's gonna be Evanescence, but it's a bossa nova cover.
Oh, that would be dope.
What would that sound like? Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but you don't speak Portuguese, though, right?
No,
so
I know nothing of Portuguese. Yeah, no.
But yeah, so it is also. This is the good news, because it's an hour and a half with subtitles, so at least it's not like 3 hours with subtitles. That's gonna be my like, well, at least it's not super much reading, because it doesn't have audio descriptions, very annoyingly. But the other, at least a little bit of good news is it's on Canopy.
Yes, which means it's freezing. Yes.
So get your library cards now. I can you still do that right now?
Ooh, that is a good question. I don't think any of the libraries are open right now.
I wonder if you could still get a card, though, because I mean, there is all this online stuff.
Yeah, to access all the digital stuff. You might be able to. I have mine, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, me too, but like...
It's a good question.
But for other people who are listening, yeah. I mean, check it out, maybe. But if you do have a library card, get Canopy, and you can watch the movie with us.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so that's next week. Now we have our last segment, which is what's the thing that we love?
Oh, what do we? Yeah. What's the thing that we love this week?
Yeah,
I've got mine. But I don't know whoever wants to go first. Okay, cool. So mine is an oldie but a goodie. I debated on even whether I should bother mentioning it because everybody knows about this. I am in the midst of the great 2020 Avatar rewatch.
Is this a concerted effort?
Or
is it just you?
By myself.
Oh, okay,
actually,
okay.
Well, okay. So there have been a lot of Avatar memes on Facebook. a lot. Like usually Uncle Iroh will pop up
I was
every
gonna say, we're
now and
talking
again.
Last Airbender, right?
Yeah, we are. Oh, yeah. Yes, we are. Because
Good.
I don't care about the
The
other one.
only real Avatar.
The only real Avatar. So Iroh has popped up a lot on Facebook, every now and again. But this right now is just like a constant stream of Avatar memes, and I'm like, oh, everybody's rewatching Avatar right now. So I am a creature of habit. So I started rewatching it as well. I'm trying to do a book a week. So last week I watched the entire first book. Now I'm on the second book. The show is so good. It's so good, and maybe not every episode is up to par with some of the most amazing episodes, but there's not a bad episode.
It'll be really
at
fun
all.
to talk about.
Yeah, so like I said, mine needs no introduction. It's Avatar. It is streaming on Netflix right now. It is one of the most popular
it's streaming on
things.
Netflix now?
Yeah, it's one of the most popular things streaming on Netflix right now. I own everything through iTunes, but I am watching it through Netflix because I want the ratings. I want Netflix to know that like Avatar is the best and it's amazing.
Should we, if it's, because who knows how long it'll be on Netflix? Should we start doing an Avatar series soon?
Yeah, I'm down.
So then you have to come up with a new thing. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Because I already said the next episode. You can't say a future. No, I'm just kidding. But we should do that. We could get my sister to call in
that would be super cool.
and do her Avatar minute or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. She would love that. No,
Yes.
we should do that especially if it's on Netflix right now, because then people could, because that's something that we both already have seen, but we also both know already. We would definitely recommend for people to watch.
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
like beastly.
Yeah, no. It's on Netflix and it's also on Hoopla through the library.
Oh,
You can watch all of Avatar, and like the first 2 seasons of Korra, I think, are up right now. on there.
Nice.
That's my thing. It's beloved. It's amazing, and yeah, it's Avatar. If you're looking for something to watch during quarantine, this is literally
No.
quarantine. Yeah. Yes. If you're looking for something to watch and you've never watched it before, what are you doing? You have no excuse. You must know someone that has a Netflix account. Watch The Last Airbender. You will not be disappointed.
Fabulous.
Don't watch the M. Night Shyamalan movie that's also on Netflix.
No.
Oh,
Don't
boy.
watch any movie Avatar related. Fuck blue people and also that stupid M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah, no, watch the animated series. It's great. You will fall in love with everyone, and especially with Toph Beifong. So.
Yes, and Zuko.
and Zuko. Oh my God, yes. And
It's a
Zuko.
big Zuko.
So I started reading the comics because the comics are canon, and Hoopla has a bunch of them.
Oh, do they have
They're-
a way to read them as a blind person?
Well, you can make the text as big as you want.
I guess that. I mean, it hurts your eyes after a while, but I guess at least it's something.
Yeah, but I mean, I burned through like 2 of them in a day, and they're like 70-page books.
Are they
So-
easy to read? Just
Yeah.
like physically, I mean, like
Ye-
literally
well,
easy.
Okay, well, with someone with my vision, yes, because I blow the print up huge.
Well, I need to do that too. So if that works, then
Yeah. Oh, I have you know what? After we're done, I have my iPad I can show you. I have a
Okay.
couple downloaded.
okay, yeah, I'll
Because if you can, you should, or I'll read them to you because they're great.
I know we need to find like there are some sites online where they have like different comics that are read, but they don't have everything.
No, there's
Obviously.
too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're great. They're really great.
That's awesome. We will definitely. So that we'll come back to that definitely too. Avatar in general, because it's a great show, but a good thing maybe to watch season 1 if you've never seen it. My thing that I have been watching is a TV show called Superstorm. It's like I don't know. It started in like 2015, I think, or 16. One of the first seasons. Like is the election. I think it's in the second season on the first season. So I don't know. I think it's but I believe it's still on right now. But it is it's just like kind of a silly workplace comedy. It's not like super, obviously it's not super serious, but there'll be occasional like very kind of like, it's kind of like Parks and Rec, and then occasionally there'll be like some sort of political commentary that's really funny. Like the plot is just like a workplace comedy that takes place in a department store, like kind of Walmart-y. fictional department store called Cloud9, and it's in it's set in St. Louis, I believe. So it's like, you know, you kind of have like the political dynamics of that, and you have like the just gun ownership is a big part of it. But it is just like a silly show. It has a comedian I like, who I believe does not use a wheelchair, whose name is Colin Dunn, who plays a character in a wheelchair. But I like it. I mean, like, anytime you see a disabled character, you're like, oh no, it's gonna be bad. But I feel like it's more thought out than a lot of other times, where, you know, he's definitely a very chaotic neutral character, which, I mean, I do love a good chaotic neutral character, so that's part of why I enjoy his character. But it's not like, there's one of the episodes was so funny. They have like a newspaper, like internal newspaper for Cloud9. And so, like, and no one reads it, obviously, because who would ever read something like that?
Is it called Silver Lining?
I think it probably is.
If it isn't, it should be.
I think it is. I'm sure it is. I don't remember, but it is so stupid pun, so it probably is that. And they, like, there's one of the character, like the boss of the store, like, really wants to be taken a picture of on the front, and like, and the character in a wheelchair is just like hiding, because he's like, I am a black person in a wheelchair, and I'm going to be on the front of this magazine no matter what. And so, like, the entire B plot of that episode is just like the cameraman is like chasing after him, and he's like trying to hide in the store so that the cameraman won't take a picture of him. It's very funny.
That sounds excellent.
Yeah,
I need a show like that. I need a nice, good comfort sitcom.
Yeah,
I'm still watching Scrubs. I'm still watching With the Rewatch podcast.
Ooh.
That's happening. That is really interesting. I think I plugged it on a couple episodes back, but yeah.
Scrubs is a harder one to like use, because what I like about Superstore is it's like kind of nostalgia watching right now during the quarantine, but it's also like not that it's not like making me depressed, because I'm like, it's not like I really want to be in a Walmart. It's not like that's what I miss, but it's also kind of like the fun nostalgia of like, oh yeah, when people could congregate together. but it's not like too depressing, because it's not too like, oh, I wish I could be around humans again.
I love it.
But Scrubs, I imagine, is more like reminds you of disease.
Scrubs is a little harder, mostly also because the show balances comedy and drama so well.
Right.
And I think that's what I really like about it it'll be super funny, zany, crazy, and then in 2 scenes it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. I think and I think that like Superstar definitely is a little bit more on the zany end, but it does I do appreciate that there is a little bit more like of that balance. Even if it just falls more on the zany end of the scale, but it's not. It is not so. I mean, Parks and Rec is a very similar kind of emotional, analogous show. But yeah. So
where can people catch it?
It's on Hulu actually. So I've just been watching it on Hulu.
Cool.
It might be on other platforms, but
I'm sure you could buy it on iTunes or whatever, but Hulu's probably one of the better ways to watch it. I don't know if NBC's streaming services come out yet, but they have one.
Are they going to take everything off Hulu?
Probably, and I'm going to be pissed. It's called Peacock, and apparently it's coming, and I'm not happy about it.
I guess I have to cancel Hulu at that point, because everything I watch on Hulu for some reason is on NBC. So I'm so mad.
I'm just pissed. Like, all of SNL will go away, and I'm like, really? I need that. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah, well, you can watch it on Hulu, at least for now. And you can, it's 5 seasons, so it's probably easier than buying it off iTunes, because that would add up.
Don't buy anything unless you want to keep it forever.
Watch it on Hulu first, and then decide if you really want to have it forever. But yeah, so that is my my thing. Do we have any last words before I read the credits?
yeah, stay positive, stay safe, stay home and stay positive.
Stay safe, positive, home. Yes. Stay cool.
There you go. Yeah.
I had to take my AC out to do this podcast, and I'm really being aware of it right now, but when it's almost over, so thank God. Okay, so our theme song was by Lucia Fasano. Our Twitter is at White Cane Pod. Our Instagram is Citizen White Cane. Our Facebook is Citizen White Cane as well. It does not as well, just Citizen White Cane. Our email is citizenwhitecanepod@gmail.com. No periods, just one word. And if you would like to send us a voice message, we have a link in the show notes. If you would like to tell us about how your quarantine, if you've been watching Korean dramas while you've been stuck in your home, if you also have built a greenhouse, if that's what your project has been, tell us if you know what it's like to both be conventionally a white person, I guess, attractive, and then to have scars on your face, and how that changed your existence. Or if Beauty and the Beast is your favorite Disney movie. Just, yeah, I guess that's the whole idea behind that thing. I don't know. And you can also let us know if you have certain movies that you want us to watch.
We're always looking for new content, especially things that we've never seen or don't know about.
Yeah, definitely. And anything else you want. Those are our contacts. You can also, if you like the podcast, you can rate, review, subscribe, all that stuff. And I think that's it.
See you next week.
Yeah, stay beastly.
Oh, God.
Citizen